Live chat. Okay. All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy FabFit Friday. Not prepared today. The reason why I'm not prepared is because my husband and I were trying to fix seat belts in my car because my dog Dasha chewed them like into little bitty pieces. So now I know everything about seat belts there is to know, including the fact that in a 2012 Camry, hey Mary, welcome. In a 2012 Camry, there are sensors for the airbag on the assembly piece that's in the, inside, the thing the seatbelt goes into. And if they're set off, then the seatbelt doesn't retract right. It locks and you have to keep struggling with it. So after we took out the old webbing from the original Toyota assemblies, we put in new webbing and they didn't work. So I spent all day with my husband trying to get seatbelts to work in the car, and that unfortunately blew my entire day, which was my day to prep for today. So today, and just to finish the little discussion about seatbelts, we found a professional to do it for us. So our seatbelt assemblies are getting fixed, and we will be having seatbelts in our car. Oh, hi, Mary. I'm not ignoring you. Hey, Sally. Welcome, welcome. I was just crying about my seatbelt situation because I wasted an entire day trying to replace webbing in my seatbelt assemblies with my husband, and it didn't work. I mean, we spent quality time together, and that was actually very nice. My husband and I love doing projects together, but we couldn't do it. But luckily, my husband found someone who can. So seatbelt situation's handled. Let me just ask Mary. Hey, Mary. What airport is near you? Okay, so if you want to fly in to Connecticut to my workshop, you would fly into Bradley International Airport. It's a really nice small airport that's easy to get in and out of. And like I think I mentioned earlier, if anyone would like to join me March 21st, 22nd, and 23rd to, spend 3 days of quality time with me to fit pants, I will pick you up from the airport. And actually, I will sit right at the exit stop sign and get you. So I'll bring you right to the hotel. So you don't have to worry about anything once you get here. So it's Bradley International Airport. It's a really nice airport to fly into because it's small, but it's not as small as some of the ones. It's not like Lexington, Kentucky small. Let me put it that way. If anyone's flown into Kentucky, it's definitely not that small. Hey, Carol, you can't hear me? Can everybody else hear me? I have my microphone on and my meter is saying it's working. So check and see if your speaker is up on your computer or whatever you're listening to. I think it's working. Hey, Sally, welcome, welcome. So that's how you can fly in to Connecticut very easily. I do want you to know that there's only one spot left on, Mary can see me. Oh, things. Oh, my bad. Okay. It's okay. It's all right. Technology is wonderful when it works, and every now and then things don't work. So don't worry about anything. If anyone's having trouble, we'll figure it out because I'm the queen of little glitches in my technology here. So that's a 3-day fitting workshop, and there are still 8 spots left. 2 people have signed up. The one I'm doing in February that is a full day semi-private or private fitting workshop on February 20th, 21st, and 22nd. I only have 1 spot available left on the Thursday and Friday. There are still 2 spots left on the Saturday. So if anyone was thinking about coming for a 1 day, like one and done, get it done, because I can tell you for certainty that I can fit 1 or 2 people in a day if I can fit 10 people in 3 days. So, depending on how you want to do it, those are the options for my in-person workshops coming up in February and March. And I have hotels near the tailor shop where I'm holding the one-day workshops in February, and the same thing is true. I will pick you up from the airport and drive you back and forth, so you don't have to worry about driving if you are flying in to the one-day workshop. All right, so now that I've talked about those things, I am going to move on to my pattern. One thing I'm kind of excited about is I have this pile of mess here. I wished I had had time to... Well, actually, I was only going to trace the pattern anyway, so I'm really not that far behind. I want to talk about how I trace my patterns in a minute, but the cool thing that I want to share with you is I have my twisted leg pieces here. So if you remember, this is the pattern that I made my twisted leg jeans out of. And the cool thing is I compared the crotches of this with the straight leg jean pattern I'm going to work on for my next pair, and it's very, very similar. Hey, Carolyn, and hi, Victoria. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And also, I just want to say, if anybody is watching me, or knows of or lives near anywhere in California, I just want you to know I am thinking of you almost every minute of the day. I'm feeling very, very heavy because of everything going on in California with the fires. So I just want you to know that I am sending my prayers and, just my thoughts to everybody who's affected by those fires. I'm really, I wanted 2025 to start off like amazing, and so far there's been a bunch of things that are giving us a little bit of an issue. So I hope that gets taken care of, and I really hope everyone can recover from that. So that's my little talk on the fires. Okay. All right. So getting back to this, I just want to say that this is practically a vintage pattern. This is my original non-stretch jeans. You can see I actually taped the tissue from the first pattern I ever worked with, and I have adjusted it and changed it multiple times. I have added and added and added to it. So like if you look at down here, you can see that on the back leg, I actually spread it to make it bigger here. And then you can see I actually added newsprint to the top of it when I was making the rise higher. And basically this pattern is really, it's been with me for a long time. I launched it in 2009. So we're coming on like almost 20 years. That's a long time to hold on to one pattern. I've made a bunch of these jeans, and I'm going to use it as the base for the next pair I'm going to start now. So the first thing I want to do here is show you how I trace patterns. You can save a lot of time and energy if you make sure that your pattern is attached to your tracing paper so nothing shifts. So I like to use my Sew Tights for that because I don't have to pin and make holes. And on something like this that's already tearing, I really don't want to make more holes in this paper. So having magnets that I can stick on, and so you can see the bottoms, see they just stick on like that. That helps hold it. So let me just take those off so I can show you what I did. Oh, and by the way, if anybody is a Sew Tights lover like me, Sew Tights is coming out with a larger cutting board that's magnetic. So it's 40 inches long by 24 wide, and I have those on pre-order. I cannot wait to get my hands on them. That's how much I love working with a magnetic surface. I mean, I use it for all my mini pattern adjustments and things now, but having the big ones, that's going to be amazing. I am so excited. I can weight my fabric down without having to put the little metal backings underneath. I'm very excited about that. So of course I'll be sharing that with you when it gets here. All right, so let me take this pattern off and show you the way I trace. So you can see here, let's start from the knee down because it's hard to see the whole pattern in one piece. It's so large. This is a full-size pattern. So you can see this is my hem. Okay, these lines right here are my knee. So what I did to make tracing quick and easy is I made brackets around all my straight edges. So for example, oh, and the very, very first thing before I talk about anything else is I always draw my center balance line before I start tracing. And then when I lay my pattern piece on the paper, I align it so that the grain line on my pattern is already aligned with this line. So I draw this first, then I put the pattern down. Then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just connect my, and I'll do a different color so you can kind of see, you know, that where I traced and then where I finished with a ruler. So again, let me fold this in half so you can see everything. Okay, so the hem is here. So basically now I can finish my hem by just connecting these brackets. Okay, and then I can connect my knee line and my hem to create the side and inseams like this. And you can see, instead of trying to trace a straight edge, if you use the ruler, you always get a straighter, more accurate line. So whenever I trace anything, I always use my ruler and, you know, do this after I trace. Now you're going to notice here on the flip side, or the top side of this pattern, I basically dashed in all of my curved edges. So instead of like just drawing a hard line, I dashed them in. And then to get a really nice shape, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use my French curve to connect my dashes like this. And that's just going to give me a really nice line. This is my front crotch curve. Okay. And then here I have my zipper seam allowance, or my zipper, the allowance for the front fly zipper. And then I'm going to connect the waist because that was a straight line. And then again, I can draw this in if I want to, but for now I'm going to go straight across. So basically I'm going to continue my waist so it goes straight across like this. And then I'm going to use my French curve to finish my side seam like this. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just using my French curve to fill in where I dashed. And just a tip on using a curved ruler, you want to find the edge along the curve that agrees with the line you're trying to draw. Don't do this where you use a little bit and then reposition, then reposition, then reposition. Try to find the area on the ruler that's going to agree so you can just make nice long smooth lines that connect. All right, so that's how I trace my patterns. I'm just going to fill in the back the same way. So you can see here I've done basically the exact same thing in the back. So I'll start at the top this time. I'm going to do my waist, or the top of the back leg actually. You know, I can use my straight ruler there, and then I can use my curved ruler here, like this. And then this is an exciting time for me, like starting a new project. I love starting with a fresh pattern. I feel like it's a new beginning. So this is kind of a fun thing for me to do. All right, let me see what's happening. Oh, good. You can hear me, Carolyn. Thank you for letting me know that. All right, so okay. All right, so I'm gonna just finish this up. And now that I'm here, I'm gonna flip it over, and now it's just a matter of drawing straight lines for the bottom of the leg. Okay, so basically now what I'm gonna do is just finish off the hem. And I'm going to just draw up to my like this. All right, I think I screwed something up, because if you look at this, this is wider than that. So I think I screwed something up here on my hem. So let me just get that and put that back down to make sure I bracketed that correctly. Oh, I did. Oh, I guess I did. I guess it's correct. That just looked funny to me the way it's laying on the grid. All right. It's always better to confirm or verify if something looks funny to you. That did look a little bit funny. All right. All right, so now I have my leg all traced out. Oh, Victoria says I'm going to get ready to trace my pants muslin. It all looks best if I've it all looks best I've done. My center back seam is a bit short. I have a seam that runs straight down the center of my back leg. Can I increase seam allowance? I would definitely increase seam allowances, Victoria. If you have a pattern with a seam down the center back leg, I would definitely add to all your edges, and then but sew them at the original so you're not adding anything extra until you know you need it. So I'm going to prepare this pattern by adding to my edges as well, but you can also add to those internal edges if you need to. Hey, Lean, welcome. I am starting my second pair of jeans for my jeans sew along after, after I finished my twisted leg jeans. So this is the second pair I'm working on. So basically all I've done so far is I'm basically showing how I trace my pattern pieces. So this is my basically vintage jeans pattern from 2009. This is the first pattern I ever designed. Very first pattern. So it's always fun for me to pull out and look at, and also it's always fun for me to make it bigger and bigger, because that's what seems to be happening with me right now. All right. So all I've done so far is trace. So the way these jeans fit me is that they're fitted through the knee, and then they have a very slight, very slight boot cut hem. So I'm going to be changing this into a little bit of a wider leg. So I'm going to make a little bit of a wider leg, but I was thinking about it, and I think because the fabric I'm going to use has some stretch to it, I am going to fit from waist to crotch so it's fairly fitted, and then maybe even fitted, not tight on the upper leg, but it'll start to relax, and then it will be relaxed through the knee and hem. So the leg will be wide, but I'm going to fit the waist through the crotch so it's not super loose. And just to remind everybody, the fabric I'm working with is this Salt and Pepper denim I found at LA Finch Fabric. You can see that I've washed it. So if I zoom in here, you can see that it's basically bright white on the inside and gray on the outside, but it looks gray because of the white and black threads. So it's got black threads running down the warp direction, the vertical direction, and it has, no, I'm sorry, it has white threads are the warp. Those are the ones that are coming down, and then the black ones are the weft or cross grain threads, and they're black. So this fabric looks gray because of the white and black threads used to weave it. So that's the fabric I'm going to be using. And you can see here that it's, if I stretch it this way, you can see it's got a nice amount of give. It's not like springy, stretchy. It's just got some give. And then if you stretch it this way, it's got no give. So it's only got one-way stretch. So there's no stretch in the vertical direction. So that's what I'm going to be working with to make these jeans. And because I don't have vertical stretch, I don't have to worry about the rise changing that much. Meaning, if it was a four-way stretch, I'd have to really consider how it's going to stretch in all the directions. I don't have to worry about that as much. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is I want to just compare these patterns with you. I showed how my twisted leg jeans fit me, you know, when they were finished. So I know that pattern fits. So instead of doing a lot of fitting up here, I'm just going to add a little bit of extra allowance in case I need to, you know, take it in a little bit or let it out a little bit. But I want to show you, this is the top of my twisted leg pattern that I finished, right? And I'm just going to compare for you. I'm just going to lay the top of the pattern here. And you can see it's very, very similar. If we look at how it fits from the crotch to the side seam, that's almost identical through here. The shape is almost the same. I did the adjustment where I got rid of vertical length on the back leg right here. I collapsed the pattern. So you can see there's a dip here. So my guess is I think I'm going to do this adjustment to my leg before I cut it out, because I know I need that to get rid of the extra length here. So I'm going to show you that. And other than that, I think this is going to fit me pretty closely. And the front leg is also very similarly shaped to here on the twisted leg jean pattern. So I'm going to be using this pattern. I'm not going to do a whole heck of a lot of fitting to it because it's so close to the way the twisted leg denim jeans fit me. Now, I'm going to be using stretch with this, so my guess is I'm going to have to take it in a little bit. So, you know, I'll do that. I think I'm just going to do that in the denim. I'm going to go straight to denim on this one. I'm not going to make a muslin. So I'm going to make some educated guesses and make a few adjustments, and then I'm just going straight to denim on this one. So basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut my pattern pieces in half. I mean, I'm going to cut my front and back apart. So I'm just going to cut along my fold here so I can separate the pieces. Like this. Okay. All right, so I'm going to work with this back leg first. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use Well, I need to make a, all right, I have a copy, right? So I have a copy. I'm going to use this to put back the top of the pattern after I do this adjustment. This adjustment I'm going to show you right now is to remove a little bit of extra vertical length on the back leg. And I'm assuming because I needed to do it for the first pair that I made, I'm going to have to do it for this pair too, because like I said, this pattern is almost identical in the fitting. So basically what I'm going to do here, I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing. This is the first time I think I've demoed this in a full-size pattern. But essentially, I'm going to make myself a line right here, and we'll go ahead and use a different color so you can see what I'm doing. I am going to draw a line right here, straight across, like this. Oh, you can barely see that because this marker is going in the garbage. Let me get a different one. Well, maybe lime green. Let's see if my lime green is working. Okay, so there's the green line. Now what I'm going to do here is I am going to cut down my center balance line all the way to my green line. And then I'm going to cut straight across my green line, and I'm going to make pivots at the side and inseam like this. So now I've got pieces that just do this, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I am going to say, or make a guide for myself, that I'm going to drop this. Let's drop it 3/4 of an inch. I think that'll be plenty. So to here is where I want to drop or get rid of vertical length here. So I'm essentially going to tip this one down like this. And I'm going to tape that in place. And then I'm going to tip this one down like this. Okay, so now I'm getting rid of, let me just show you where I'm getting rid of extra vertical length. I'm getting rid of extra vertical length right here. So this whole area is where the extra vertical length is getting removed. Okay, you see that? And what that does is it causes the top of the pattern to dip. Okay, that's where it shows on the adjusted pattern. All right, so now that I did that, I have to basically put back some of the shape. And because this has fat paper around it, I'm going to take my original pattern and I'm going to put it underneath here. And I'm going to line it up so that the crotch, the tip of the crotch, the inseam and the side seam are all matching. And also I can make sure that my vertical line is matching. Well, let me just see something here. All right, so see what I'm going to do here is I'm going to line up I think it'll be easier to do it this way because I can't see through the paper. So I'm lining this back up. So see my crotch, tip of my crotch is matching. And the side seam is matching here. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to just trace back the shape of the original pattern to here and here. Okay, And then you can see what happens. What happened is all of this is what collapsed, and I'm putting it back. Okay. All of this, what collapsed, I'm putting all of this back. So see how I just traced around. So where it collapsed, I'm putting it back, and I've got my reduced there. Now up here is where I'm going to keep that. So basically, I'm going to take a curved ruler like this, and I need to leave that dip in there. So I'm going to basically bring it down to the dip and then just finish it like this. Okay, so what I'm not doing is I'm not going straight across. I'm leaving the amount that this dips in place. So that's going to take care of any extra vertical length that I think I may have in this new pair of jeans I'm making. So I've done that. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is, remember, I want to make this a wider leg. Like I want it to just be like a relaxed, wider leg. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and add 3/4 of an inch at the knee. So I'm going to just come out here 3/4 of an inch like that. And then I'm going to basically fill that in like this. Okay, so I'm making it wider there. And on the side seam, I'm going to add, I think, a 1/2 inch. I can't add as much here because I don't want to go past the hip curve. So let's just do a 1/2 inch here. So again, that's going to allow me to going to come up and then connect it to here like this. Oops. Okay, so you can see I'm adding this to the hip. I'm not adding anything at the full hip because I want that to be fitted. Oh, Carla wants to know why I'm leaving the dip in the waistband. Okay, so first of all, that's an excellent question, Carla. Thank you for asking me that. See this area right here? Let me just make it a little less. I just want to make sure you can see what I'm doing here. This green area is where I overlapped it. I pushed it down and down, which made this come down. Okay, so this is where it shows. I push this down, so the dip is really, so if I connect these like this, okay, this area in here, in that area is what I pull down over here. If I make this straight again, I'm basically just putting this back, if that makes sense. So you need the dip here, and then this dip is actually going to get sewn to the back yoke. These are jeans, and when you sew it a dip to a straight edge, it's going to pull this up, and it's actually going to pull up the fabric and make it pull up. Hi, Mrs. D. Good evening to you from wherever you're hailing in the evening. It's 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon here. All right, so do you understand that, Carla? I hope that clears that up. The yoke will pull all this up. Now, since you asked me that question, I want to just show you one other thing. If you have loose wrinkles on your back leg that are extra vertical length, this is how you can pull up some of that extra. And in an upcoming Fit Tip Tuesday video, I am going to show you how to even remove more vertical length. So that's an upcoming Fit Tip Tuesday. And while I'm speaking of Fit Tip Tuesdays, I just want everyone to know that I mentioned last week that I'm on a new schedule. I'm trying to make my work more efficient. So I'm shooting all my Fit Tip Tuesdays in one day for a month. So I've shot 4 videos. I know what they are. It's going to help me plan. It's going to help me plan and do my social posts and just make everything more efficient. And then if something bad happens, or if something happens and I'm not here, I can still have all of my videos going out on the days they're supposed to go out. So that's what I'm, striving for, is more efficiency. So I am doing a series of fitting things for snug fitting jeans or pants. That's going to be starting next Tuesday. So starting next week, I will be back to my regular schedule and I will be ahead of the game. So I'm super excited about that. Oh, good. Carla says that makes perfect sense. Okay, so watch this one. I'm going to add one little wrinkle into this. So you can see here, I'm going to just put my ruler right here. And I'm going to draw a line. I'll use a slightly different color here. So let's say I draw this line like this. I'm just going to dash it in. Okay. So you see what I've made a line here. So all of this area underneath the base of the crotch, this cannot get pulled up by making a dip here, because this is landlocked here. So everything I'm pulling up here, I'm pulling it up and it's showing at the waist. Here I pulled down this tiny little bit, so almost, next to nothing. Some of what I pulled down here shows up in here, but then when you get to this little amount, it's negligible, so you really can't see, that I pulled it there. If I want to remove vertical length here, I would have to scoop down here. Okay, so that's how I could remove, if I needed to remove it right here along my inseam, that's how I would remove it, versus doing this. This is for the center of the back leg. Mrs. D is from South Africa. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't think Nigeria is in South Africa. I think it's a different thing, but my workout partner is from Nigeria. And you should see the clothes he puts on to hike. We went hiking this morning. It was 28 degrees out. He had on like 2 pairs of pants, a tank top, a long sleeve shirt, a parka, and then a hat that covered everything except his eyeballs. And then I gave him my Super Serious EMS gloves to wear because his gloves were not warm enough. So he's used to the warm weather over there. So I drag him out in the cold. So that's the finishing conversation about how this is pulling up. And if I wanted to pull some of this up, I'd have to scoop down a little bit underneath the crotch. But I don't know if I need that yet, so I'm not going to touch that. I'm just doing this to show you. Cindy says I will... Cindy says, good afternoon. Hope we are all staying warm. Yes, I am inside now. And really... I'm really of the mind that if you dress for it, you can enjoy the cool weather outside. Because like I said, I did go hiking this morning and it was really enjoyable because I was dressed for it. Let's see. Cindy says again, I really like the fit tips. Thanks for having great fit tip videos. I appreciate them. Well, thank you, Cindy. All right, and Vicky says, hi Jen, can I use my non-stretch jeans pattern to make stretch jeans? The non-stretch ones are during fairly snugly, and now I want to make changes from taper to boot cut. Okay, so Vicky, that's exactly what I'm doing. This is a non-stretch jeans pattern, and I decided to use it because when I checked my denim, my denim doesn't, it has stretch, right? It does stretch, but it doesn't stretch a lot. Like if I measured, let me just put this aside for 1 second. If I measured the amount of stretch, so like a 10-inch piece right here, I can barely stretch it 1 inch. Okay, so I can barely stretch it 1 inch, which means it barely has 10% stretch. The other reason why I'm feeling okay about using my non-stretch pattern is it has 0 vertical stretch. If you're working with stretch denim that has vertical stretch, you're going to have to shorten your rise a little bit too. So I'm not worrying about shortening my rise because, again, I have no vertical stretch in this denim. So just check your vertical stretch. And if your fabric does have vertical stretch, I would probably cut across here and, you know, take out a little bit to make it a little bit shorter. So that's what I would do there, I think. But you can see how it's going to fit. You know, I'm going straight to denim on this. Oh, and by the way, Vicki took the time to email me a suggestion for my closure for my twisted leg jeans. I still have not done that. I have a big overlap between the longer fly extension that for the fly shield. I'm going to put 2 buttons on the outside of the waistband, and I'll show you those next week when they're done. But I am going to take Vicki's suggestion because she used an inside button like I talked about, and it broke because it was really doing such a good job taking off the tension from, you know, the main button. So I'm going to do 2 real buttons, you know, next to each other on my waistband on the public side. And I'm kind of excited about that. I think it will look cool because, remember, my twisted leg jeans, which I have right here. See, they're still in my sewing room. I washed them and then I still haven't finished them. But so I'm gonna, oh, now I'm too dark. Hold on, let me make you a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna put 2 buttons, like one here and like one here. So I'll center one on top of the top stitching right here, and I'll put the other one right here. So 2 buttons. And I think because these jeans are not traditional, you know, I think it'll go with the non-traditional front I have going on. Oh, Cindy, this is my non-stretch jeans pattern, my original non-stretch jeans pattern that I'm working with. Of course, did I put a link to it in the description? Probably not. I can add that later, but it is in my online store if you're interested. Oh, hey, Jay Melissa from snowy Tennessee. Ugh. You know what? I'm going to have a little of that fun tomorrow. We're supposed to get 1 inch of snow. So I will be enjoying some winter wonderlandy weather in the morning tomorrow. So I'm kind of excited about that. Hopefully I will be up to watching your videos on Tuesday evening. The gallbladder comes out Tuesday morning. I can't wait. Oh, I'm so excited, Victoria. You're getting that taken care of. Sending you prayers. Okay, so Vicki says, you know, it's gonna. I knew you meant fitting snugly. So again, if your non-stretch jeans are fitting very snugly, and you want to relax it a little bit, you won't have to add that much in the rise. Maybe just a little bit. Take out a little bit in the rise if your denim has vertical stretch. Okay, so if your denim has vertical stretch, I would cut it and overlap it just a little bit to make this shorter, both front and back. All right, so getting back to this, you can see now I have made my leg wider by that much. So 3/4 there, 1/2 inch there. So at the hem, I want this to be a straight leg now, a wider straight leg. I don't want it to flare. So the way I'm going to accomplish that is I'm going to measure my new width here. So this basically measures 12 inches. So I'm going to come down to my hem and I'm going to measure my hem edge. My hem edge measures 10 3/4. So we need it to be 12. So that means I have to add that's 1.25 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and add the same amount. So actually, obviously, if I add it there, I add it here. So I'm going to make this 3/4 of an inch here. So if I make this 3/4, oh no, it's got to be 3/4 and 3/4 because it's an no, it's 1.25 inches shorter right now. So yeah, 3/4 and 1/2 inch. So I'm going to add 3/4 over here. I'm going to extend this out 3/4 like this. And I'm going to extend this one out 1/2. And then I'm just going to connect these. Like this. Oops. Okay, so there is my wider leg. And I'm going to do the same thing in the front. But I'm not going to add, well, I think I might add, I don't know, let me see what the front is. All right, so that completes my back leg. Oh, Mary is asking me, if I sign up for your March class and hubby has trouble with his surgery in February, is it possible to cancel later? Yes, Mary, I would never keep anybody's money. Like if something happens and you can't come, I had someone that had to cancel one of the workshops last year, literally less than a week before because of her husband had something going on, and I sent back her money. I would never keep anybody's money if they can't come to a workshop. So there is no worry about that. And I'm very lax about all of these things. Like I don't have a super duper serious cancellation policy because I feel like until I've taught the class, it's not my money. You know what I mean? Like I want you to come if you want to come. And I'm talking to everybody now, not just Mary, but you know, I really want people to feel safe that they can sign up for something, and if something happens, I will refund your money. I do that for Zoom classes too. Like if something happens and you can't come to a Zoom class, I will refund your money, unless you just want to watch the replay, depending on what's going on. So that's how I feel about that. And also, you know, I was thinking about one of my sewing teacher friends of mine said to me that I should have a cancellation policy if I don't get enough of signups. And I suppose I would do that, but really as long as I'm not losing money, I will have the workshop. So I only need 4 or 5 people to sign up at the Hampton Inn for the 3-day to not lose money. So if you sign up and it's a small class, that's also a bonus. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, there's only 2 people signed up so far. But usually for my 3-day workshops, people tend to sign up later. Like it's very rare that I'll get, fill a class in the first week. So anyway, that's my little add-on on my workshop policies. All right, so Jay Melissa is asking me, is it flared or just wider? Okay, I made it wider, not flared. And the way I know it's not flared is the measurement at the knee equals the measurement at the hem. So straight leg means essentially the leg is similar measurement at the knee as it is in the hem. It doesn't flare or taper. So it's just a straight leg. And that completes what I'm going to do to the back leg. So what I just want to show you now is I'm not going to take the time to do it here. For this pair, I'm not going to add any fitting allowance to my inseam because I already know this is going to fit, right? It's so close to my the other pair that I made that had 0 stretch. I know I'm not going to need any here, but just in case, I'm going to add 1 inch of safety seam allowance to my side seam here. Now, it's very likely I'm going to cut that off and maybe a little bit more, but I'm going right to denim. I don't want to take a chance. Okay, and for the rise, I'm going to add 1 inch above the leg just for safety. And again, when I sew up my jeans, I'm not going to cut out the front pocket. I'm just going to sew it at the original seam allowances, and I'll have large side seam and I'll have a larger seam on the back leg. I'll only let those out if I need it. But again, I'm going straight to denim because I don't want to take the time to make a muslin for this one. I want to get this pair going. So The only thing I'm going to do to this is add 1 inch, 1 inch seam allowance there, and 1 inch up here, or a fit allowance actually. All right, so that takes care of this piece. Then on my front leg, I don't really need to do anything to the top of this. I filled in the top of the front pocket because I'm going to cut it out straight just to double check it before I cut the front pocket opening out. So all I'm going to be doing to this leg is I am going to be letting this one out. And so if we look at this pattern, let me just unfold it so you can see. You can see that I have very little, because I'm so straight, I have like boy legs. You can see I almost have no hip curve here on the front. See how there's like no hip curve? So I really can't add that much on this side. So I'm going to add 1/4 on my side seam here. I'm just going to add a little bit, 1/4, and over here I'm going to add a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to make it a little less, well, maybe 5/8 on the inseam. Okay, 5/8 here, 1/4 there, and I'm basically doing that because if you notice here, I have very little wiggle room to fill this out, like see, to join it back. See how I'm basically going to be almost at a straight side seam now because I filled that in a little bit. And then over here, I am going to just fill this in like this. Okay. And then we're going to make this a straight leg as well. So I've got to measure this. This measures 9 3/4. 9 3/4. This measures 8 7/8. So I need 7/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 1/4 over here, down here. Jay Melissa asked, do I have the Mount Juliet class scheduled yet? No, because the hotel has not gotten back to me. So I'm going to check with my friend on the ground there and see if she can go hustle up someone who will call me back, because no one's calling me back from the Hampton Inn. But I will be getting on that. And Vicki says, I haven't bought fabric yet, so we'll try to get some without vertical stretch. I mean, you can get vertical stretch. It's just, it makes more things to think about when you're adjusting from non-stretch to stretch. And by the way, I do have a workbook for that, how to adjust a non-stretch pattern for stretch fabric. And there are formulas in there to add to the, or to take in a pants or jeans pattern in that workbook if you're interested in the full discussion on that. That's in my online store. It's a workbook, how to adjust non-stretch for stretch fabric. All right, so I'm going to do a 1/4 here. And then I'm going to do 5/8 on the other side to make it match. Like this. So then I'm just going to connect these. All right, so now I have this lovely wider leg. Very excited. And when you play with your pattern pieces like this, you know, I always think it's fun to kind of compare the shapes. So I think what I'm going to do is, well, actually, you know what I'll do? I don't have time to add all my allowances, you know, my inch on the side and my inch at the top. So I am going to do that, and I'll show you how to stack the pieces next week to show you how you can get information about the pattern front and back by comparing them, the paper pieces. I'll do that next week because I do want to add allowances, but I'm tight for time today, and it's already 2 o'clock. I cannot believe an hour goes by so fast. So I will show you that next week. So I'll have these cut out, and I'll be showing some fun construction things next week in that denim, and I'll also show you how to stack the pattern pieces after they're complete to just compare the front and back and the proportion and all that kind of stuff. All right. My total width added to the leg, I added 7/8 in the front and 1.25 inches in the back. So I added more to the back than I did in the front. And my back is already wider than the front. So the other feature of this pattern is the side seams sit forward. So when you're looking at someone wearing these jeans, you can see the side seam almost from the front view. And actually that's a very slenderizing feature. I used to own a pair of 7 For All Mankind jeans, and every time I wore them, people would say to me, "Oh, did you lose weight?" And I'm like, "Nope, you could just see my side seams running down my leg." So, so this pair of jeans is going to have the forward side seam as well. And I'm kind of excited about that because I need as much slenderizing as I possibly can get. Vicky says, does the workbook cover changing in the rise? I have more hip than you. Yes, it does. It shows vertical and horizontal, how to adjust for vertical and horizontal. So, and it also includes how to do that for shirts, you know, not just pants and jeans, but it also does, I also show how to do it in for shirts too, and sleeves and things. So it's got all the information to adjust the patterns for whatever you want to change something from non-stretch to stretch. It's a fairly popular class, and also if you are interested in taking that as a class, I think I have that on my schedule for pattern review. I am teaching that, let me just tell you, I have my calendar right here. I am teaching how to adjust a non-stretch pattern for stretch fabrics on the 12th of February from 3 to 4:30 on pattern review. So I will be sending that out in my January newsletter, you know, at the end of the month for my February classes. Or you can just get the workbook, whatever works for you. The class is basically the workbook. All right, so that's my fun for today. Thank you for hanging out with me. I always feel very discombobulated when I have a plan and then I spend an entire day doing something that's not on my calendar. But I also want to tell you, let me just, I want to just show you something here from my seatbelt adventure. If you guys have sew tights, they can also save the day if you're working on projects with metal. You can see here, I use the Magnum Sew Tight to hold the seatbelt to the metal assembly. So that was kind of fun. And see, here's my husband. He's putting the seat belting into the assembly. Let me see, what else did I take a picture of? See, he's feeding it in there. And see, there's what it looks like. So this is what your seatbelt assemblies look like in your car if anybody's interested. And I think I showed how to sew. See, I sewed the little pin that needs to get lodged into that little metal part. It sits in that little, in there. The pin gets caught in there. That's how that works. So I did use some sew tights, so that was fun. But I do feel like I'm off my schedule because I literally spent all day doing nothing that did anything. Anyway. All right. So, let me just say goodbye. Oh, thank you, Cindy, for coming. Lean, thank you too for coming. Take care. And Sally says, great session today. I love your basic skill tips. I can't be reminded too many times on those. Have a good weekend. You have a good weekend too, Sally. Mary says, it is good that your hubby has patience with your dog mishaps. Well, when things didn't work out with the seatbelts, he kind of brought that up again. And I said, well, that ship has sailed. So, but I have a soft muzzle. It's a very gentle, soft muzzle. And if I have to put Dasha in the car after the seatbelts are fixed, she's going to have to wear that for a couple minutes until I get in the car with her, because I'm not doing this again. So unfortunately, she'll have to wear just a soft muzzle if I put them in the car and then run back to get something. They're so crazy in the morning when they know they're hiking that they carry on like lunatics. So sometimes putting them in the car and then finishing getting ready is the only way I can get myself out the door. So anyway, oh, seatbelts are crazy. I tried to splice one after my dog chewed it, but then it was too thick to retract. Oh, I know. Oh my God. You know what I did, Vicki? I put the seatbelt together. I burned it so it didn't fray. And then I put a piece of my heavy number 315 weight muzzle in there, and I sewed it like a join, and that did spin back on. But if you were here at the very beginning, I was saying how after getting it all on, it didn't work. But it didn't work because of the way we did it, because my husband brought it to professionals to fix, and he said we did set them up right. It's just the sensors were blown, and that's why the seatbelt wasn't working. So anyway, we love our pets, so we need to be creative, and you know, it's all good. So thank you guys so much. Like I said, starting next week, I will have a regular schedule of Fit Tip Tuesdays and Cool Tools, and I have them in the bank now, so I won't be skipping any weeks anymore. So I'm super excited about that. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and please stay safe. If you live in California and you're near those fires, please, please, please. So that's it. Now I'm going to start to ramble, so I'm going to go. So thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye. Bye-bye.